dear students, welcome you all back to our social class. We are dealing with the economics chapter, consumer rights. Till yesterday, we have seen that how the consumers are, who are the consumers, and what are the ways in which they are buying the products, and who decides the buying of products. All these things we saw, and we saw the teenagers are being considered as the most important consumers in our nation, and we also saw the history of the consumer right. Today we are going to see about the consumer movement. So this consumer movement arose because of two important reasons. So first thing, if you see, it is because of the dissatisfaction of the consumers. So why they might have got dissatisfied? Dissatisfaction arise because of the unfair practices, and the buyers are being not satisfied with the product because of the seller being adulterating the products. So you can find that the dissatisfaction arises because of the exploitation ways, like when they provide very low weight products. Like if you buy 1 kg of rice and you are being given only 1.5 kgs, when you go home and measure it, if it is 1.5 kgs, you are dissatisfied. Right? Yes or no, my dear students? Yes. So next thing you can see that is, it is because of there was no legal system which was available for the consumer to protect themselves from the exploitation. So there is no legal ways, there is no legal organizations which can protect or look into the interest of the consumers. So because of these two reasons, you can find the consumer movement started arising. There was, as I told you already, there was no legal system which is available for the consumer to protect them from the exploitation in the marketplace. For a long time, you can find that consumers were not happy with the products that are available in the markets. So the consumers generally avoided buying the products. That is, if they go for a purchasing of bread packets in a shop, he feels that the bread packet is not good quality or it gets rotten very soon. So, if it is so, what will happen is that the consumer will not go to that particular shop for buying. He will go for another shop. Right? So that is also happening. Yes or no, my dear students? Yes. If you see, like in certain cases, like the responsibility of the consumer to be very careful. So it is like where the area is being created in such a way that the consumer should be very careful enough when he is buying the products or getting some kind of services. So it looks for an movement that has to be arised, and they developed an organization. That is, the world level organization was also developed, and at the national level also there was an organization which was developed, and it created awareness among the people. So awareness means what? Like explaining them detailedly what is happening, how are the consumers are exploited. So those things are being explained to them in a detailed manner. Then this has also shifted the responsibility of ensuring the quality of goods and services on the seller. So when the organization was started, you can see that that is the responsibility towards providing good quality of goods and services has been shifted in the hands of the sellers. So now it is the responsibility of the seller to sell a good quality product, sell a good quality product at a good price. So that is how the movement has transformed. Then if you see in India, the movement in India has been arised because of the social force. Okay? So they organized a protest movement, like which was necessity for them to protect and promote the interest of the consumer. You see, this social force was organized in order to safeguard, in order to protect the consumer from the exploitation and look into their own interests and promote their own interests and to eradicate or to remove the unethical and unfair trade practices that are being held. There are ways through which they are doing unfair trade practices like rampant food storage, hoarding, black marketing, adulteration of food, adulteration of edible oil gave birth to this movement in the year of 1960. Okay, my dear students. So, this has resulted, like hoarding means storing it somewhere, and when the demand is created at that time they will be selling it. Then black marketing, selling by getting it illegally from one place and selling it in the other place. Adulteration, which happens in the food products like pepper seeds. You can even see adulteration which happens in the oil. So these things have motivated, these things have encouraged, this thing had stimulated the consumer movement to start by 1960. Then till the 1970, consumer organizations were largely engaged. Like they started doing activities like writing articles and holding exhibitions were being done by them. They formed consumer groups to look into the problems like malpracticing that happens in the ration shops and crowded areas, overcrowded areas of the road passenger transport were also being looked up by the consumer groups. Okay, so which was being witnessed as a member of the consumer group itself. Then you can see that this consumer movement has become a major effort to organize, and the movement was succeeded by bringing pressure on the business firms. By bringing pressure on the business firms means the producers, the higher producers like industrialists and business peoples were being pressurized to give a good quality products. As well as to the government, it was pressurizing. So there could be some justification which can be done for the consumers. Okay, so there are major steps that are being taken in the year of 1986 by the Indian government to enact the Consumer Protection Act by 1960. It is shortly called as COPRA, COPRA, COPRA. In detail, we will see what is this COPRA also. So now we will see what is the need of this consumer movement. If you see, there are a lot of needs for the consumer movement. Like it should provide, when the consumer movement has been started, it has to provide the consumer the proper education. Education doesn't mean that he should go to school and get education about the buying of product, about defected products, how it is available. So those things should be provided. Then providing consumer the protection. The movement should ensure that the consumers are being protected, they are safe. And it has been established, as I told you already, to build a pressure on the government arrangement, like arranging consumer protection programs. So where they started giving written articles, started exhibitions which are being published. And also you can see that they started organizing public opinions. They started asking the public opinions. That consumer movement even provided guidance to the consumers to know what is it and how to follow all these things. And it even stimulated the consumers to fight against the marketing system that is available in India. So totally, the consumer movement is being established for the purpose of consumer awareness in our nation. Then, if you see the consumer movement in India, as I told you, it is for awareness program. As we saw, like it has been started for promoting and necessity to protect and promote the interest of the consumers. So this COPRA is the act which is implemented in the year of 1986. Okay, it is popularly known as COPRA. It's an act of the Parliament of India. Act is enacted in the year of 1986. So, it has been implemented in the year of 1986 for the purpose of protecting the interest of the consumer. So, here you can find interest of the consumer as the main aspect for them to protect. Then, it makes provision for them to establish an consumer councils and other authorities for settling up of the consumer. So, it is going to settle up the consumers authorities. The dispute that is arising among the consumers and the matter that are being raised among them. And this act is also enacted in the year of 1986. It has an objective to provide better protection of the consumer. So that is the main objective of the Consumer Protection Act, COPRA, is to provide better protection of the consumer's interest. So there are efforts which have been taken in order to safeguard and promote the consumer's interest. Again, there are variety of ways, as we saw, like the consumers are exploited, like unfair deals that are happening, relying like mainly on the components rather than the disciplinary or preventing approval under this act. In applying to all these goods and services, like unless specifically examined. So you can find that with cover to the private, public and cooperative, they feel that the Consumer Act has been for everyone to protect the consumer. Okay, so this is what is about the consumer movement and COPRA. So this act has provided a speed and inexpensive right to the consumers, like the right under the act which flows, that is a right inherent in the act of 14 and 19 of our constitution. So it is called as, and you can find we have lot of rights which are also available for the consumers, that is like right to information, and we have rights like which has been for the purpose of the consumers, that is right to choose, right to right to be safety, right to be informed, right to be heard, right to be consumer educated, right to be healthy in the environment. All these things are also available. So we'll see the rights in the next class. Okay, my dear students. Thank you.